Vintage Story is one of the most unforgiving survival games out there. When I first started, I made every mistake in the book and paid the price for it. So today, I'm going to share 10 things I wish I knew before I started playing. These tips will save you a lot of frustration and help you survive those crucial first days. Let's get started. When you spawn in, don't waste your time looking for trees. This isn't Minecraft. Instead, your first goal is to collect loose stones and sticks from the ground. And once you've got your flint, you can nap it into simple tools like an axe, a knife, or a spear. The axe lets you chop trees down, the knife helps you cut grass and reeds, and the spear is your only real defense early on. These tools don't last long, but they're enough to get you established. Tall grass may look harmless, but actually it's one of the most important resources in the game. Breaking it will give you dry grass, which you'll use constantly. Fire starting, torches, crafting, and even early survival gear. Always keep at least a stack in your inventory. Running out of dry grass at night when you need a torch can mean wandering around in the dark. Trust me, that doesn't usually end well. If you stumble on clay early, you've struck gold. Clay is the foundation progression in Vintage Story. With it, you can hand-shape pottery, like bowls, pots, storage vessels. Pottery lets you cook meals, store food so it spoils slower, and eventually create molds for casting metal tools. Without clay, you'll be stuck eating raw berries and meat, which won't get you far. If you find clay, set up a small base nearby because you'll be coming back to it a lot. The fire pit is your lifeline. You'll need it for cooking, smelting, keeping warm, and just having light during the night. To make one, combine sticks, dry grass, and firewood, and then you can light it with a fire starter. Always carry extra materials to light a fire wherever you go. Getting caught at night without light is dangerous. Not only you will struggle to see, but hostile drifters will spawn in the darkness. Keep torches on you and keep your fire pit fueled. In the early game, food management can be tricky. Your first instinct might be to hoard every piece of food you find, but in Vintage Story, food spoils, and that means if you stash a ton of berries, they'll rot before you can eat them. Best approach early on is to gather berries and mushrooms as you explore and eat them right away, and save longer lasting foods like grains and dried meat for later. This way, you'll stay alive without wasting resources. When you think about building a base, you might imagine wood planks, stone bricks, or fancy structures, but in the early game, survival is more important than it looks. Dirt and cobblestone are cheap, easy to gather, and most importantly, safe. A simple 3x3 dirt hut with a door and a torch can keep you alive through the night. Once you're established with better tools and resources, you can upgrade to stone or timber, but for day one, don't be afraid to live in a mud hut. One of the biggest shocks in Vintage Story is how long crops take to grow. Unlike other survival games where food grows in a couple in-game days, here it can take a full season. That means if you don't start farming early, you'll be in serious trouble when winter rolls round and wild food becomes scarce. Even if you have a handful of seeds, plant them right away. Future you will thank present you when snow falls and you've got a field of turnips ready. Vintage Story has a full seasonal system, and it changes how you survive. In the spring and summer, food is everywhere, and the weather is forgiving. But when autumn and winter hit, crops stop growing, and animals are harder to hunt, and the cold can be brutal. Planning ahead is key. Stockpile food in sealed containers, build warm clothing from animal hides, prepare firewood for heating. If you ignore the seasons, and you'll find yourself starving or freezing to death. Finding metal is one of the biggest hurdles in Vintage Story, and you'll need a prospecting pick, which gives you the readings about the chance of ore underground. But it's not as simple as dig here, it takes patience. Often you'll need to sample in a grid pattern and carefully track the percentages until you zero in on the vein. First, the ore you'll be looking for is copper. Once you have copper, you can then move on to the Bronze Age. Unlocking better tools and weapons, it feels slow, but the payoff when you finally strike a vein is huge. Unlike many survival games, Vintage Story doesn't hold back. Wolves are fast, deadly, and often hunt in packs. Drifters spawn in the darkness and will overwhelm you if you're not careful. Even hunger and cold can kill you if you're not prepared. The best survival mindset is to always be ready. Carry food, torches, and never travel too far without spare tools. Treat every journey like an expedition, because in Vintage Story, the world is not your friend. And those were the 10 things I wish I knew when I first started playing Vintage Story. Hopefully these tips help you survive your first nights and set you up for long-term success. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your top survival tip is. Thanks for watching.